You were never destroyed by the narcissist. You were destroyed by the hope that they would change. Read that again. Let those words settle into the places inside you that have spent years searching for answers. Because the deepest wound was never the manipulation. It was never the lies. It was never even the betrayal. The deepest wound came from believing that one day things would be different. One day they would finally see your value. One day they would understand how much you loved them. One day they would become the person you kept seeing hidden beneath the surface. And so you stayed. Not because you were weak. Not because you were foolish. But because you believed in possibilities. You believed in healing. You believed that love could reach places pain had damaged. You saw potential where others saw warning signs. You saw woundedness where others saw manipulation. You saw a human being beneath the mask. And because you saw that humanity, you gave them chance after chance after chance. You explained away behaviors that should have ended the relationship. You silenced instincts that were trying to protect you. You ignored the tightening in your chest, the exhaustion in your body, the anxiety that appeared whenever their name flashed across your screen. You convinced yourself that understanding them was the same thing as helping them, but it wasn't. And deep down, your soul knew it. Long before your mind accepted the truth. Long before the evidence became undeniable. Long before the final disappointment shattered the illusion. Your intuition had already spoken, quietly, repeatedly, relentlessly. It whispered through moments that felt off, through conversations that left you confused, through promises that never matched actions, through the strange feeling that no matter how much you gave, it was never enough. Your nervous system heard the truth before your conscious mind did. Your body knew before your thoughts caught up. Because the body does not lie. The soul does not lie. Only the hopeful mind can convince itself to stay in places where it is slowly disappearing. And that is what makes narcissistic relationships so dangerous. Not merely because of manipulation, but because they create a fog, a psychological maze, a reality where you begin questioning your own perception, your own memories, your own instincts, your own truth. The person you trusted most becomes the person teaching you not to trust yourself. And if you are an empath, that confusion becomes a prison, because your gift is understanding people. You can feel emotions hidden behind words. You can sense pain behind anger. You can recognize wounds behind harmful behavior. But there is a shadow side to that gift. You become so focused on understanding others that you forget to protect yourself. You become so skilled at offering compassion that you stop asking whether compassion is being returned. You become so committed to seeing the good in others that you stop seeing the harm being done to you. And slowly, without realizing it, you abandon yourself. Not all at once, but in small pieces. One compromise at a time, one excuse at a time, one broken boundary at a time. Until one day you wake up and realize you have spent years fighting for a relationship while losing the relationship that mattered most. The relationship with yourself. Today, you are about to face 7 painful truths. Truths your mind may resist. Truths your heart may want to argue with. Truths that may challenge everything you thought you understood about love, healing, and human connection. But these truths are not here to hurt you. They are here to free you. Because sometimes the most powerful healing begins the moment an illusion finally ends. You cannot heal someone who benefits from your pain. This truth cuts deep, because your entire identity may have been built around helping, fixing, saving, understanding. But some people do not want healing. They want access. Access to your energy, your forgiveness, your empathy, your endless second chances. And every time you offer another opportunity, they learn they can continue without consequences. Your compassion becomes permission. Your kindness becomes supply. Your love becomes fuel. Not because love is weak, but because it is being given to someone who treats it like a resource instead of a gift. Truth number 2. The version of them you love may never have existed. This is where the grief begins. Not the grief of losing them. The grief of losing the illusion. You fell in love with possibility, potential, promises, moments, fragments. But fragments are not a person. Your mind collected every beautiful moment and built a story around it. A story that explained away every red flag, every betrayal, every manipulation, every wound. You were not holding on to reality. You were holding on to hope. And hope can become addiction when it refuses to face the truth. Truth number 3. Your empathy can become self-betrayal. This is the secret nobody talks about. Empathy is beautiful until it starts costing you yourself. You understand their trauma, their childhood, their fears, their pain. But while you are busy understanding them, who is understanding you? Who is protecting you? Who is listening to the quiet voice inside that says, "This hurts"? Many empaths become experts at abandoning themselves, and then wonder why they feel invisible. Tarnos. Your nervous system knew before your mind did. Think about that. Before the evidence, before the realization, before the heartbreak, your body already knew. The exhaustion, the anxiety, the constant tension, the feeling that you were walking on emotional glass. Your nervous system was receiving messages your conscious mind refused to hear. Because your body speaks truth, even when your mind is negotiating, even when your heart is bargaining, even when your soul is trying to avoid disappointment. The body whispers, then warns, then screams. The question is, when will you listen? Truth number 5, you were not chosen because you were weak. You were chosen because you were strong. Many empaths secretly believe they were targeted because something is wrong with them. But strength attracts attention. Light attracts attention. Depth attracts attention. People who have lost connection with themselves often become fascinated by those who have not. Your emotional intelligence, your generosity, your sensitivity. These were not flaws. They were qualities. The problem was never your light. The problem was giving unrestricted access to it. A candle can illuminate a room, but if everyone takes a piece of the flame, eventually there is nothing left. Closure may never come from them. This truth is brutal, because part of you still wants the conversation, the apology, the acknowledgement, the confession, the moment they finally understand what they did. But healing begins when you stop expecting clarity from the source of confusion. You do not need their understanding to validate your experience. You do not need their apology to honor your pain. You do not need their permission to move forward. The door to freedom opens the moment you stop waiting. Truth number 7. The relationship was a lesson about your relationship with yourself. This is the deepest truth of all. The narcissist revealed something, not because they were your teacher, but because they exposed every place where you abandoned yourself, every boundary you ignored, every intuition you silenced, every truth you negotiated, every moment you chose someone else's comfort over your own well-being. The relationship did not create those wounds. It revealed them, and revelation is painful, but revelation is also the beginning of transformation. Semseth. You stand at a crossroads, not the kind marked by signs, not the kind visible on a map. This crossroads exists deep within your consciousness, a silent intersection between who you have been and who you are becoming. One path leads backward, back into explaining, back into justifying behavior that wounded you, back into shrinking yourself so others can remain comfortable, back into hoping that people will eventually become who they promised they would be, back into waiting, waiting for apologies, waiting for understanding, waiting for love that arrives only in brief moments before disappearing again. It is a familiar road, a painful road. A road your soul has traveled for far too long. The other path feels different, uncertain, almost frightening, because it leads somewhere many empaths spend their entire lives avoiding. Back to yourself, back to your intuition, back to the voice you ignored every time someone convinced you to doubt what you felt. Back to your nervous system that has carried the burden of constant vigilance. Back to your soul that never stopped trying to guide you toward freedom. For years, you believed love meant enduring, absorbing, sacrificing, saving. You believed strength meant tolerating what broke you. You believed compassion meant staying available no matter the cost. You believed loyalty meant abandoning yourself before abandoning anyone else. But your soul is finally learning a different language. A language older than fear. A language deeper than conditioning. A language that does not confuse suffering with love. A language where boundaries are sacred, where self-respect is not selfishness, where compassion does not require self-erasure. where empathy no longer demands your destruction. And perhaps the greatest awakening of all is realizing that you were never responsible for carrying the weight of another person's choices. You were never responsible for healing wounds they refused to acknowledge. You were never responsible for rescuing people determined to remain lost. That burden was never yours. It only felt familiar. You were not born to carry people who refused to walk. You were not born to heal people committed to harming you. You were not born to spend your life proving your worth to those incapable of recognizing it. You were not born to disappear inside someone else's story. You were born to become fully alive, fully present, fully expressed, fully connected to the truth of who you are. And when that realization finally settles into your bones, not your thoughts, not your emotions, but your bones, something extraordinary begins to happen. The guilt starts losing its grip. The confusion begins to dissolve. The endless mental battles finally grow quiet. The chains you once believed were permanent begin to crack. And for the first time, you stop chasing people who cannot love you correctly. You stop negotiating with your intuition. You stop begging for crumbs when your soul was made for abundance. Because you finally remember something you have always known. Something hidden beneath every heartbreak, beneath every disappointment, beneath every lesson. You are not here to be consumed. You are not here to be drained. You are not here to become smaller so others can remain comfortable. You are here to shine, to create, to love, to grow, to become. And the moment you stop handing your light to those who only know how to take, that light begins returning to you, piece by piece, breath by breath, day by day, until one morning you wake up and realize something has changed. The peace you searched for in others is alive within you. The love you begged to receive is flowing from you. The freedom you thought someone else could give you was yours all along. And from that moment forward, your life is no longer defined by who hurt you. It is defined by who you became after you chose yourself. That is the awakening. That is the return. That is the beginning of everything. And before you leave, remember this lesson. The most painful truth is not that someone betrayed you. The most painful truth is realizing how many times you betrayed yourself trying to keep them. You ignored your intuition. You silenced your needs. You questioned your worth. You abandoned your own soul in the hope that someone else would finally choose you. But life was never trying to teach you how to hold on to them. Life was trying to teach you how to stop abandoning yourself. Because the moment you choose yourself, the moment you trust your inner voice over someone else's approval, the moment you stop chasing love and start embodying it, everything changes. And one day, you will look back at the person who broke your heart, not with anger, not with regret, but with gratitude, because they unknowingly gave you the lesson your soul came here to learn, that your power was never in saving others. Your power was in finally saving yourself. And that is the day an empath stops surviving and starts becoming unstoppable.